apparently I've never been on TV before.
If you wanna find me, yeah, I'm in the front row with my 2 tickets on me. I'm in the front row. It's the best place to be. I'm in the front row. Best place to be. Yeah. If you wanna find me, yo, I'm in the front row with my 2 tickets on me. I'm in the front row. The best place to be. I'm in.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the In the Front Row YouTube channel. It's been a few weeks, but we are excited to be back with another episode of Double Trouble for you, and we have a lot on the docket. Before we start, go ahead and subscribe down below and make sure you are following our journey as well as the other programs we do on the network. Today, we are excited because later we're going to be talking about the NFL Draft, which is 12 days away. Also, we are going to dive right now into the NBA and the Western Conference because it is heating up. The Los Angeles Lakers, obviously, we're an LA-based show, so that's what everyone is talking about out here. Yeah. And guys, we have a return date for LeBron James. Ooh. It's supposed to be 3 weeks away. Anthony Davis is supposed to come back soon. I know the Lakers have been holding up pretty well, or as well as they can, you should say. Without the two of them, they currently sit 5th in the Western Conference, but I believe there's only like a 3-game separation from 7th or something. I'm not sure about the exact numbers. But the Lakers, a big win as we're taping this today over the Utah Jazz. I know Donovan Mitchell is out, but still a big win, and they needed to come back to beat the Jazz in overtime. I guess we'll just start with the Lakers. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They've been, I believe Kevin Harlan said the other night, they've gone now. I think it might be 10 or 11 straight games. It was 9 at the time. When we were watching the Lakers-Celtics game, they've gone win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. They lost, I believe, against the Celtics. And then they win against the Jazz today. Alternating wins without LeBron and AD. Can this team hold on?
I think so. I mean, I'm not really concerned if you're a Lakers fan. Obviously, I'm not. But if you are a Lakers fan out here in LA, I'm not concerned at all. I really think once Anthony Davis gets back, obviously when he was playing, a couple months ago, he was the best big man in the game. If you take the playoff stretch from the bubble and stuff like that, even though Joel Embiid dominating this year, people are interested to see if Anthony Davis can return to being the best big man in the game. And then you have the best player, not only of all time, but still currently in the NBA. I don't care what people say. People always try to make other players the best player, like Kevin Durant or someone like that, or me when I did Kawhi. I still apologize for that. I'm still on the apology tour for that one.
You'll be on the tour forever.
but they get LeBron back, and you said about 3 weeks they announced right before the championship, before they unveiled their banner. So I'm not concerned at all. If I'm a Lakers fan, I still think they have the best team in the West, even though there's some up-and-coming teams that have looked good this year. I really think the Lakers are still the best team in the West if they're fully healthy.
Fans back in the stadium as well.
They're building the Celtics.
Yeah, I took the tickets today. It was like $3,000 ticket. That was for near, in the section 100. I don't know what the upper. Yeah. But fans back. It's a limited capacity back in the Staples Center, which is good. You see things going in the right direction as the pandemic continues to slowly lift. But I do want to correct. They are 4 games now ahead of 7th place in Dallas. I just want to get that out there and make that correct. I think they've done a terrific job of just staying above water and not sinking. I think they, especially with long-term injuries to both LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think people or the organization could have just sunk and it could have turned very poor. And I think they've done a good job with the leadership of Kyle Kuzma and Schroeder playing a lot of, and remember, new additions they're still working on from this year. Montrezl Harrell came over from the Clippers to Lakers. So they're still trying to, remember, it took them, into the playoffs last year to really click. They were the 1 seed most of the way. But it still takes you time, I guess, is what I'm saying, to figure it out. And I think with these long-term injuries, it really could have hurt their reputation and their possible playoff outlook. They obviously don't want to be in the playing game. But I think they've done it. I think, especially now with LeBron and Anthony Davis in the next few weeks. I can't think of the words today. Dated to return. I think they've done a good job of holding ship, and that's really all they need to do. Frank Vogel's, honestly, I forget who the player was, but Frank Vogel didn't know the lineup against the Celtics until a few hours before because of all the injuries going on with the Lakers. So I think they've done a very good job of holding ship. The Western Conference is a competitive conference. I think if you are an NBA fan, it is the conference you're looking forward to. In the playoffs this year, the Lakers currently sit 5th in the Western Conference. And we've been talking about the Western Conference all season. The standings, the Jazz and the Suns on top at 1 and 2. The Clippers and Nuggets following the Lakers, the Trailblazers are the top 6 that aren't in the playoff game right now. And then you have the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, the Warriors, and the Spurs that are 7 through 10. The Pelicans just out of it. Your take on the Western Conference, who's a contender, who's a pretender, a team maybe a dark horse that is a lower seed?
Yeah, I would take 3 teams that could possibly make the finals. Let's cross the Jazz out. They're not making the finals. Let's just be honest. What? Is that bad? No. So I'm just being honest. I just think they don't have enough firepower. The playoffs are a different animal. They don't have enough firepower. I believe in Donovan Mitchell, but anything else outside of that, when you're giving Rudy Gobert $200 million, you know you're not a championship contender. The Suns are interesting to me. I just don't think – I think they're still a piece away. I know they have a lot of depth, but I don't know. There is that team that wins with a lot of depth and only one superstar, like when the Mavericks won back in the day against LeBron. But I take the top 2 teams out. I think it's only the Lakers, Clippers, and here we go, Portland, because I love my boy Dame Dollar. And all the additions they made, especially adding Norman Powell at the trade deadline, obviously adding people like Derek Jones and Covington in the offseason. I really like Portland. Those are the only 3 teams I think have a chance. If I had to predict, I would take the Lakers. I still think they're the best team in the West. And honestly, I think they're the best big 3 when they're fully healthy. Yes, I don't care about the Nets over there in the East Coast. I think when they're fully healthy, I think just because AD and LeBron, I think, are 2 of the top 5 players. I think add someone like Andre Drummond, who is actually going to help AD because AD doesn't have to play the 5 now mostly and get beat up and maybe get injured in the playoffs. Andre Drummond can, be in the paint, and obviously we've seen his prolific rebounding throughout his career. You can never count out the Clippers. I think if Paul George can turn it around and actually play in the playoffs, we saw what happened last year. And if Paul George can be Paul George from Indiana back in the day when he went up against LeBron and gave you those really good series, I think the Clippers have a chance. But I would take the Lakers over the Clippers. I guess it depends on the seeding in the Western Conference Finals because we need to see an LA showdown. Like, we've been asking for it ever since Kawhi signed. And just one more quick thing, it's embarrassing how the 10 seed gets in the playoffs. I'm just saying.
So.
I think it should be
we're handing out honorable mentions.
I think it should be. I like the 8-9. I really like the 8-9, but you're telling me a 7 seed? Like, Dallas is what, 6 games over 500, I think? 6 or 7 games over. Or they must have
30 and 25.
They must have lost. They were 6 games.
The Spurs are 26 and 28.
But you're telling me a 30 and 25 team? Come on, man. I know the East is a little different, but come on, man. A 7 seed should not be in a playing game. It should be automatically in. I like the 8-9, but get that 10 or 15 teams. If you don't make the playoffs, I think they should instantly fire the coach or whatever they do, or like the GM. Because if you're one of those 5 teams that misses, I think you should have to go to the G League and bring 5 new teams in.
They're trying to bring,
it's like soccer. They should move them up and down.
They're trying to bring, obviously, ratings into the NBA. Maybe they think the playoff game or the play-in games.
No one cares to
bring
watch
in
that.
ratings. March Madness did a few years back. They went from 64 to 68. They added a few play-in games, and people,
it's embarrassing.
Love to watch it. I think maybe they're testing.
As a Wizards fan, it's great, but it's embarrassing.
It gives you a fighting shot. I think going back to the Western Conference, I think it's interesting. I think Utah, I don't think you can count them out. I know a lot of people.
Donovan Mitchell, so.
Yeah, I do love Donovan Mitchell. And I think a lot of people, the way he's responded to criticism has really made him even more respected player in the NBA. He just does not care. I think that Utah, you look at, you look at Donovan Mitchell, he plays, and people are saying he just scores. He needs to do more. He's been adding numbers this year, and is he a superstar? I think he is. But I think I know where I'm going today. I think you can't count them out. Are they the favorite? In my opinion, no. But people will be like, oh, Milwaukee got those 1 seeds over the past few years, and they were the top seed in the conference. And then you saw what they did in the playoffs when they just had everyone built around Giannis. I think you can make the same comparison. I think Donovan Mitchell has a bit more a versatile game, which will help them. Phoenix, I think they could be one piece away, but Chris Paul, interesting there. The leadership is everything, and that's going to be.
So I'm saying they're there. I'm not
So I think it's an interesting top 2 seeds right now, just because I think if you looked in the beginning of the season, I don't think you would have expected the Jazz and the Suns to sit 1-2 in the Western Conference. Even though the Suns did have that great NBA bubble and almost got into the playoffs. The Clippers, it's an earn it year, and I think I've talked about that over and over again. So I don't really want to get into that again. But I think it's just they're going to have to earn everyone's expectations this year instead of going in with expectations. I think if I had to pick a few favorites, I think I still have the Lakers as the favorite. I know you mentioned that they're the best big three in the NBA. I
don't agree.
No, I have to agree with you. I think the only thing is that it's hard to compare is, especially I know Anthony Davis and LeBron James have been out over the past few weeks, or it's been a long-term injury you could classify it as. But I think if you look at Brooklyn, they're never on the court together. Oh, Kyrie's missing because of personal reasons. Kevin Durant's been injured. James Harden just came in later in the season. We really haven't been able to see them together for a big sample size, which is going to be interesting. If I had to compare and pick, I like the Lakers, I think. But it's hard to compare when you don't have everyone on the court. But doesn't it seem like, I know this may be more of a college basketball thing, but doesn't it seem like the Lakers with LeBron and AD set to return in the next few weeks, it's almost like they're going to get hot at the right time. Like they're going to get their players back, in a few weeks, and then they're going to head into the playoffs. It just seems like the season's, not that the season has gone awry or sunk. It just seems that the season's really going to just take that high spin, and they're going to go on a hot streak and a win streak. It seems like they're getting their best two players back, and they're the only team in the NBA you could classify with two of the, you can even say top 5 players in the NBA, top 10. Overall, I know Anthony Davis has been up and down.
The Nets have two top 10 too, for sure. Okay. You
No,
I'm just saying. Top 10, easy.
I guess the only team in the Western Conference, I should say more specifically. But I think you proved me wrong on YouTube. But I think I forgot about they're never on the court. We've said that.
True.
But I think
because I think, and the one thing I want to say just real quick is I would take the Nuggets as the second best team in the West if Jamal Murray didn't tear his ACL. I actually think the Nuggets are better than the Clippers. And I know I'm not saying it's a series last year. I just think the Nuggets, with adding Aaron Gordon, they had the best trade deadline. And I think if Jamal Murray was there, I would like the Nuggets to give the Lakers a run this year. But I just think with Jamal Murray being injured, it's just too much for them to overcome. He's an MVP caliber player when it comes to the playoffs. So
I just want to say this. I think, like I said, going back with LeBron and AD both slated to return over the next few weeks, I think they're going to kick it at the right time. They'll head into the playoffs.
He can rest.
LeBron James is going to come in with rest, which we haven't seen over the past few seasons, except for when he got injured before the playoffs. But we haven't seen him. We've seen him be a workhorse, a minute-aholic, or whatever you want to call it. Him and AD are both coming in with rest, and which is going to be important. They are returning at the right time. They're going to have a few weeks, or they're going to have time in the regular season to kind of get back into the game flow, because game flow in basketball is different than just practicing. They're going to have time to get into the game flow, and I think there is no way the Lakers don't make the finals. I can't see.
No, I agree with you.
I definitely they're a perennial favorite, but I think if you look at the Western Conference, my opinion, I think you look at the Jazz, I think if it was like the NCAA tournament or the college football playoff, they could beat the Lakers in one game in advance. I don't think they can beat them in a 4 of 7. I do like Donovan Mitchell a lot. I think the Jazz could make a run or get to the Western Conference Finals, obviously depending on seeding where the Lakers would be. But I think I love Donovan Mitchell. The Clippers, I try to be high on them over the past few seasons, and you saw what happened last year. I think they have to earn it. And I think they have the personnel to beat the Lakers in 4 of 7. I just don't. I mean, they have a new coach. We'll see. Maybe. And I think with Denver, Jamal Murray's injury is devastating. Obviously, Jokic gets.
I think the Nuggets could beat the Lakers if they were fully healthy.
I just think it really puts them from like a Western Conference final team to more of a first round team. And I hate to say that about them because I hated on them last year, I think, and they kept coming back. So I promise I don't hate the Nuggets. But I think with Jamal Murray would have been a different story. We're going to take a break here. I just think it really sets up with that and the Clippers having to prove. I think it's a clear path for the Lakers to get back to the finals.
I don't think a clear path is the word for sure.
It's a difficult Western Conference. I think you have to put them in.
We'll see.
You have to put them at least as the favorite in my opinion.
If LeBron beats the Nets, he's solid. I think he's the greatest to ever do it. But if LeBron beats the Nets, he'll solidify. The Nets are healthy. No, I'm just saying if they are and he beats them, he'll solidify being the GOAT. Because he's beaten 2 of the best teams ever.
We'll see. I think clear path is a little strong. I think they are the perennial favorites. But I just like Utah. I like Utah as well. I think you have to put them 1-2 right now in the Western Conference if I'm ranking playoff favorites. I like the Lakers and I like the Jazz.
Oh,
I think
I like the Lakers, Blazers, and probably the Suns.
the more teams you mentioned, it's just more difficult. We're going to take a break. It's going to be an interesting Western Conference Finals. If you're an NBA fan, sit down and watch them when they come. Coming up, we are going to talk the NFL draft. It is 12 days away, and lives will change forever. We're going to discuss some interesting storylines coming up.
If you wanna find me, yo, I'm in the front row. Got 2 tickets on me, I'm in the front row. The best place to be, I'm in the front row. So what's colder than ice and even hotter than a flame? I'll be in the front row chilling out.
Welcome back to the In the Front Row YouTube channel. We are excited for another episode of Double Trouble for you. And we are going to get into the NFL draft, which is 12 days away. A lot of interesting storylines. I mean, besides the number 1 pick, which is an overall consensus with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, it would be a shocking wave at this point. But a lot of storylines unfold after that, including the number 3 pick in the NFL draft. The San Francisco 49ers now hold the pick.
On this one.
A lot of people say it's going to be Mac Jones.
Yeah. No.
Do you agree?
No. I've been waiting on this one. You know why? Because Mac Jones, I think he'll have a solid NFL career, but I think he's going to be like always like an average to good quarterback. And when you're picking at number 3, you're picking a game changer. You're picking someone that comes in and is going to elevate your team and can basically not do it on its own because football is not an individual sport, but basically like star status, like Patrick Mahomes status. You know, someone who can come in on any team and ball out. And Mac Jones had some of the greatest college teammates like ever. Can we like put that? Like people are like, with Justin Fields, they're like, oh, like he had a lot of weapons around him. He plays at Ohio State. Like Mac Jones had a better team than him. Like Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle are both going to be first-round picks. Najee Harris is going to be a first-round pick. Obviously, Dickerson, the center, is going to probably be a first, if not early second-round pick. He had a squad around him. Like it's pretty easy to play in college football. And Alabama is the most overrated school when it comes to the NFL draft because everyone wants to pick Alabama guys and they never pan out in the NFL because they're just so crewed up in college. It's like Steph on the Warriors. That's another conversation for another day. But it's just everyone's so crewed up in college. You're better than everybody else. But the NFL, we're talking a different type of league. I would take Justin Fields. I honestly think Justin Fields is the best quarterback in the draft over Trevor Lawrence, over Zach Wilson. Yeah, I said Trevor Lawrence, over Trey Lance, and obviously Mac Jones, who we're talking about. I think Justin Fields has the potential to be like not Patrick Mahomes levels. I don't think anyone's. I think he'll be the greatest to ever do it. I think he already is. I don't care about Tom Brady fans. What?
Making some bold statements in this segment.
I'm not saying he's the GOAT yet, but I'm just saying if I had to look into my crystal ball, I think Patrick Mahomes will be the greatest to ever do it, and he's already achieving that. But I think Justin Fields has the potential to be like superstar status. Like you remember when Cam Newton had his MVP year in 2015? He was voted the best player in football by his peers. I think Justin Fields has the opportunity to do that. You put him in an offense with Kyle Shanahan, and maybe, just maybe, Kyle Shanahan won't blow it and blunder in the Super Bowl, and he can actually win one with a talented quarterback like Justin Fields, and not like someone like Matt Ryan who's not going to be like Justin Fields.
I think, in my opinion, I think Justin Fields is the best quarterback in the draft. I've been saying that over the past few months now. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is spectacular. I'm not taking anything away from him. And you're comparing the best to the best here. I think when it comes to the number 3 pick in San Francisco, I think a lot of the argument for Mac Jones is the system. He's accurate and quick throws, which Kyle Shanahan likes. But you need someone to fit your system. Does Justin
Fields number 3? You're picking system at number 3?
Well, that's why he traded up. He maybe thought Mac Jones could get that pick. Obviously, Atlanta sits with the number 4 pick if they don't trade it. Obviously, there's rumors about that, and I think, and there's rumors Atlanta's, could pick a quarterback. And if you look at Justin Fields, I think the only concern with Justin Fields is if he's blitzed and if he's pressured. Can he? But I think that's something you develop over time. And you can maybe if he sits behind Matt Ryan, if they decide to draft him.
Jimmy G.
Well, I don't think it's projected, but if they, or even at number 3, I think you have some kind of mentor to help him with that. And I think, I mean, if I'm Atlanta and I'm sitting at the number 4 pick and he's, to me, it would be considered a slip, but I don't think the NFL experts are considering it a slip. I would draft him. I would draft him because I think the top 3 picks are pretty much solidify if you're looking for a quarterback in this draft.
I don't know.
It
Mac
is
Jones isn't
the
as
draft.
locked in as it used to be.
Yeah, but if you're looking at the quarterbacks in this draft, there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
Which ones will pan out? It reminds me of the Deshaun Watson draft. There's a lot of talent at that
If
position.
you want quarterbacks and receivers in this draft, woo! A lot of good receivers too. I'm not hating on anybody because I don't want to come across because you're talking about first round picks.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're in the first round or they're first round graded talent for a reason. But I look at Justin Fields and you can also argue he played the toughest schedule out of the top 5 quarterbacks. Maybe not Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones, the SEC has always been, but I think the SEC is kind of like thinned out a little bit when Mac Jones is playing. Yeah, they're playing this year. And obviously his main season was starting this year.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, even people say Zach Wilson played a cupcake schedule. I totally understand that, but people don't ever say. I know Trevor Lawrence has been the presumptive number 1 pick forever now. But people don't say he played a cupcake schedule. He played in the ACC, and the ACC is not known for football. They're known for the hardwood and basketball, and they're struggling at that too. But that's what they're known for. So I think Justin Fields is battle tested, and his game against against Clemson when he's outshined Trevor Lawrence twice. I believe he's 1-1 against him. But because I think that obviously that game last year where Trevor Lawrence had the big second half, but I still think Justin Fields played a better game than him last year. And obviously this year Ohio State beat them. And I think Justin Fields, the 2 times he's played Trevor Lawrence, he's outplayed him. And people say they're concerned about Justin Fields because he's never off his first read, or he takes a long time to progress into a second read or second option. That's like you said, that's something you can teach. That's development right there. And that doesn't really worry me that much. And Justin Fields, obviously, even against no one's going to beat that Alabama team. It was like when Kevin Durant was playing on the Warriors. No one's going to beat them, and he still gave it a pretty good effort with a bruised rib. So he's battle tested. I think he's going to be the best quarterback in the draft, and I really, really like Justin Fields.
I do, and I think I just think it's a systematic thing when it comes.
And number 3
to Mac Jones. Especially when they're trading up, you're probably trading up for a specific person. Maybe
they obviously know who they want.
Maybe there's threats that you were hearing. Possibly other GMs or other teams were interested a little earlier in Mac Jones, and you traded up because that's the quarterback. Yeah. Like I said, that will fit your system. And so maybe that's what I would think. I think Zach Wilson, I haven't watched much tape on him, but hey, you're going to
good luck.
Media frenzy in New York. Good. I think he can develop into that. I mean, at this point, with trading Sam Darnold to Carolina, they pretty much solidified that they're going to go with a quarterback. Yeah. Was that worth it? I guess we'll see in about 5 years. Yeah. If Zach Wilson can develop, you also have
2 first rounders.
You also have Trey Lance, who hasn't had much sample size. But people say he has the highest ceiling in the draft, the highest potential.
He's going to sit for a while.
Yeah. So you're going to have to develop him. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the draft. And we'll see which ones will be Deshaun Watson and which ones will be Mitch Trubisky.
Let's say Patrick Mahomes.
Well, yeah, Mitch Trubisky.
You know what Deshaun Watson is going through right now.
Which one will be Patrick Mahomes and which one will be Trubisky? We'll never. I mean, I've always been higher on Mitch Trubisky than others have, but the overall consensus.
Why?
I just think they haven't given him.
You think he was worth a number 2 pick?
I mean, I don't know if I would say that, but I think they didn't give him. It's the Aaron Rodgers argument, but it's totally different because Aaron Rodgers is a talent leap above him. But I think they didn't give him the ample offensive tools to work with.
His offensive line was terrible,
and his offense he didn't have that.
Yeah,
I mean he had Robinson, but he didn't have if you look at the Chiefs. I mean Patrick Mahomes is amazing. I'm not taking anything away from Patrick Mahomes, but I'm just saying because he's obviously like Aaron Rodgers, he's a talent leap ahead of him. But I think if you look at the offensive weapons, he has a good offensive line. Yeah. I just think he never got the ample chance. And he's took them to the playoffs, obviously. Yeah. And if they don't double doink, you even were saying at that time they would get to the Super Bowl. They have a good defense, but I just don't think he had that ample, opportunity and chance. So I think people are hating on Mitch Trubisky. I support you.
And now he's a backup in Buffalo.
I support you.
Also, can we say this is just a dream for me because I know this is definitely 100% not going to happen. If the Ravens were just to wake up one day and be like, you know what's a good idea? We're going to go trade for that number 5 or 6 pick and get Jamar Chase.
I would be happy as a Ravens
They need it. I mean, not saying it's going to happen. I just can dream and,
I would
hope.
Be
and
over the moon.
I think they would have to give up a little too much because obviously they're sitting at 27th pick. They're not going to trade all the way up there. But just going into my point, I just think Jamar Chase is going to be solid. Like people think Justin Jefferson was great, and I think Justin Jefferson's great. Jamar Chase is better than Justin Jefferson. Like he was the number 1 option when on that crazy stacked LSU
And
team.
the pocket like Burrow.
Yeah, your boy Joe Burrow. Your boy Joey Burrow. He'll be back next year. But I think whatever team gets Jamar Chase, super lucky. And I just had this dream that the Ravens would wake up and be like, you know what?
I don't think
We're gonna get Lamar a weapon. They're gonna pick his. Well, I guess they really weren't teammates. I guess they were, but they're gonna pick his LSU teammate. But it's okay. I was just dreaming.
I don't think it's going to happen, especially with them signing Sammy Watkins in the offseason. I think they've
Jamar Chase is better than Sammy.
No, but I think they made it clear that they filled or attempted to
They
fill
didn't
the
fill
need
it.
of no number one receiver.
They didn't fill. That's not good enough.
Well, I'm just saying, I think with the move, they're indicating that they're not going to trade up and get Jamar Chase.
It's a dream.
It would
It's just like it's a dream.
It would definitely be a dream as a Ravens fan.
And just to get you started, what if the Packers draft defense in the first round and just disrespect Aaron Rodgers even more?
I'm just going to wrap up the show before I get started on that, guys. We're going to wrap it up. The draft is April 29th.
Yeah.
So 12 days away as we're taping, where we'll see what happens. You can sit here and talk about it, but until they open those envelopes, or I don't know if they do it virtually now, but until
well, I think there's
I'm saying or technology-wise, and I don't know if that's involved, but they used to open the But anyway,
great commissioner.
We're gonna wrap up the show, and guys, go ahead and follow us at In the Front Row LA on social media and subscribe now. We'll be back next week.
If you wanna find me, yo, I'm in the front row. Got 2 tickets on me, I'm in the front row. The best place to be, I'm in the front row. So what's colder than ice and even hotter than a flame? I be in the front row, chilling out.